Watching right now. Better pop this Mama Jumbo out. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of SJG Perspective. I am your fun-loving host, SJG. Glad to have some peeps here. I hope you guys are here. Let me click this off for a second. And there's Gator. What's going on, my friend? How are you, brother? Okay, well, yeah, don't be driving. Are you working on your new little investment? That's cool. Well, we're supposed to be having a few people get in here tonight, which is going to be fun. Rational better be joining us. He was making a big stink about, wanting to, I think he wants to share a little something. Maybe one of his, he's working on a parody song. That should be cool. I didn't really have a whole lot to, I've been working on my a video that I want to do. About, well, none other than white privilege. We're going to talk about that here coming up in the next soon. I've been doing a lot of research on that and on intersectionality and on postmodernism and the conspiratorial term of cultural Marxism. And so it's going to be fun, man. I've been learning a lot, and it's going to be good. So what did you buy then, man? So it says here you this one is a 99, the other one you saw or you seen as a 97. So you're just gonna fix these bad boys up and then flip them? Is that kind of what the old plan is? The old dealio? I'll wait for a minute here to find out. And the other thing I was going to check before I did this stream, before I started doing it, was to see what my latency was set up at on this one. And I don't think I can do it maybe I can. Ultra low latency for real-time interaction. Okay, well, that's what it's set at. So it just is what it is. Okay, cool. Well, you know what? I hadn't researched any news topics that I wanted to talk about. So I thought I would, I'm going to pop this out real quick. I thought what we would do is maybe just look up our own damn selves and just see what comes up with it. What we come up with, rather. That's kind of what I meant to say. Not the other way. So, cool. All right, so I got that set up. Let me just do something real quick, like while you're working on your car. So is it like 10 o'clock there in Nebraska right now, Gator? Oh, I'm sorry. I'm interrupting, but not really because you're just now hearing this. So for the stream tomorrow, are you? I think he's putting you in as a moderator. I put a good word in for you, bro. Hang on a second. I need to search something real quick. Pardon me. Why do this? Going to there it is. We need to we need a Discord old Rational. Find out where he's at, man. I'm gonna see if he's online and why he's not in here yet. I'm gonna do it right now. Yo, Rash, where you at? Where you at, bro? All right, let's see if he gets his happy ass in here. He probably didn't get any notifications. They probably already started doing that to me. I don't know about that. I don't know if I'm that much of on their radar as of yet. I'm sure I will be. Didn't you know Twitter gives you 0 strikes? I got something wrong on Twitter and the internet exploded. It's impossible to replace Notre Dame. I'm looking for some interesting news articles that we'll just do some read on the fly. New guidelines for woke college guidance counselors. Huh. That says it's satire. So I wonder if that's any good. Cool, man. You can be one of the moderators if you're in there. I'm just going to read a little article here. Leftist University issuing new guidelines. Look slim and fit. Yeah, I don't feel like satire stuff right now. I feel like something serious to talk about. Well, you'll be very unpleasant place. Game of Thrones star says she's contemplated suicide after online crisis. Jeez, what a bunch of idiots. Oh my gosh. This one is let's read this just to laugh at the stupid. I shouldn't say stupid. That's mean, right? Is that a mean word to say about the stupid Hollywood? Is my stream a little fuzzy? Gator? You gave me a wrench before you did. Oh, I don't know how to give a wrench, dude. You can have a wrench on my channel. You know, it's funny. I thought about that actually this morning, or not this morning, right before I went on. And dude, there's like 3 people in the chat, so it doesn't need a whole lot of moderation. But you can totally be a moderator. You are definitely going to be my go-to moderator for sure, because it would be cool for you to put up links like to my Twitter and some other things that I don't get to a lot. So actually, I don't know how to do that yet. I need to figure out how I make you a moderator. Maybe I can do that right now. Maybe you are singing Papa Roach Last Resort. What? You're hearing something? Were you singing Papa Roach Last Resort? What are you talking about, man? Are you, oh, maybe I do it right here. Go, remove, put in timeout, hide user, add. Oh, add moderator. Boom. Gator is now a moderator for your channel. You now have a wrench, my friend. I just made you a moderator. That's how easy that was. Huh. I didn't realize I could do that. So that means that you need to, like, at a later date. There it is. You got a wrench, Gator. I don't know how to give a wrench. That's fine. Look at that. Gator is now wrenchified. You are an official moderator of the SJG Perspective live chats. So that just means if anybody's being a total doucherama, you can knock them out of the chat if you want to. Not that we ever have that. And contemplating suicide, laugh loud. It was a joke. Okay, I missed it, man. Sorry. No, there's an article we're going to read that was contemplating suicide. Some Game of Thrones actors, because they got mean. People were mean to them online. Some people were mean to. This is too great, man. I got to check this out. Okay, here we go. Okay, so let's go over to this article. Let's just see what it's all about, shall we? Okay. Wow, that's really tiny. That was not supposed to be that tiny. Hang on a second. Why is it like that? I swear, man. My freaking. I don't get it. I don't get it. Maybe that's good enough. Maybe we'll just. Tell me if you think this is too small, Gate. No, cancel that. I do not want to do an update right now. I'm going to resize this. Probably is too small. I think I'm going to just do it the way I've always done it. Pardon the on the fly change up here. The change up on the fly, I guess, is a good way to put that. But can I move this down? I don't like that because then it sees all my channels that are open. Oh, I see. I do that. Okay. Hang on. 1 second. Bam. Okay. We'll just do it like we always have done it. And transition. Okay. Sorry about that. I changed it up. I thought it would be a good idea to change it up, but it says Game of Thrones star says she's contemplated suicide after online criticism of her acting. Gator, where in the hell is rational is what I want to know right now. And number two, is my volume loud enough? Before we get too deep into this whole kabobble, is my volume loud enough? Or should I be, I'm going to tell you this, is this like when I'm talking kind of loud, Gator, am I too loud? And then if I go up a little bit like that, is that too loud? How am I now? Tell me. Gator, why are you not responding, man? I'm going to take away your wrench if you don't start responding, damn it. Oh, shit. I dropped my... Little technical difficulties. Good thing we only got one person watching right now. That could be embarrassing. Maybe I got more. I don't know. Let's see here. Hey, we got 3 people watching. I better get my shit together. Oops. Hope Cindy's not watching. I'm riding out of town to pick up another car. Oh, okay. Well, then why'd you want to be a moderator if you're driving? You can't moderate and drive, man. I'm just kidding. Just listen, dude. It's all good. I'll make rational also if I lose signal, I'm sorry. Okay, that's all good. All right. So anyways, this is what I'll narrow all this down when we get into the when I edit it down to make a little snippet of this. So let's read this article. All by myself, don't want to be. Anyway, Game of Thrones star says she's contemplated suicide after online criticism of her acting looks. After her acting looks, her looks. That number one is just shows the mental fragility of these sissified and pampered and truly privileged. If we want to speak about privilege, Hollywood elite are definitely privileged. She would consider suicide after someone made fun of her looks, or her acting rather, on Game of Thrones. You ridiculous, narcissistic, crazy person, you. Sophia Turner, who plays Sansa Stark on the hit HBO show Game of Thrones, said in an interview that she has battled depression for years and used to think about suicide a lot when I was younger. Okay, well, I'm not making fun of people that are battling suicide, right, and suicidal thoughts. That's one thing. And I don't want to make light of that or make fun of that. But because somebody criticizes you online, you're not thick-skinned enough to just let that roll off. You know, you are actually going to feel like you need to commit suicide. It's just so ridiculous to me. TMZ reported that Turner made the comments during an interview on Dr. Phil's podcast and that her fame caused her mental health problems. Well, I probably don't doubt that in a lot of ways because in some ways I get that part of it, that the fame would really screw with people's heads because they're constantly fed how amazing they are and how awesome they are, but also that they need to be better and need to be more awesome. And they're plastic and they're fake and they don't know how to really be real because they get paid to fake and to act. And everything is so superficial that's around them. That part of it makes sense to me. The part that I think is ridiculous is somebody makes fun of you or gives you makes a criticizing remark against you, and you feel like you want to hurt yourself. Get a life. At least it says, or at least exaggerated them. Thankfully, Turner said she didn't believe she would actually hurt herself, but that suicide was just a weird fascination I used to have. It's weird. I say I wasn't very depressed when I was younger, but I used to think about suicide a lot when I was younger. Okay, and so basically you're completely schizophrenic right now in what you're saying. I don't know why though, she said. Maybe it's just a weird fascination I used to have, but yeah, I used to think about it. I don't think I ever would have gone through with it. I don't know. Turner was 14 when she was cast as Sansa Stark, and online critics posted negative comments about her acting and her looks, according to TMZ. Sophia says she started giving in to her social media bullies, and she started doubting her acting chops and physical appearance. She says her insecurity led to symptoms of depression, and simple tasks like getting dressed would make her burst into tears, the outlet reported. It could have also been that she was, absolutely just also going through a lot of hormonal changes at that age, and that is also what contributed to her bursting into tears over that. I mean, I'm not trying to completely diminish the fact that maybe she did feel, suicidal, but it also probably had a lot to do with her also just being a young teen. Page 6 reported that Turner said her decline came around the time she was 17 when her metabolism started to slow down and she gained weight. I was so in love with working on Game of Thrones, I couldn't believe I was going to get paid for it. Everything was incredible. It only started to go downhill, I think, when I started to hit puberty, and really puberty at like 17, and my metabolism was slowing down massively, and I was gaining weight, Turner said. She added, and there was the social media scrutiny and everything that was, and then there was a social media scrutiny and everything, and that was when it kind of hit me, which I guess I do also. Maybe I was too hard on her in the beginning. I'll recant a little bit of my sarcasm towards her. Because the truth is, social media can totally screw with people's heads. It does. It fully does. And it's kind of cancerous, even though I use it a lot, being that I have a YouTube channel now and I'm on it more than I probably used to be, but I'm also like more distant from it in some ways. It's kind of weird. Turner got help through therapy and medication and said her fiance, Joe Jonas, helped her to be happy. The actress said that since Game of Thrones has finished filming, she will focus on her mental health, taking a break from acting. Her character began as a timid young girl with a crush on a prince, but after suffering horrific abuse from the hands of multiple husbands, Sansa was hardened and turned into one of the fiercest characters in the series. Game of Thrones' 8th and final season premiered Sunday, and fans looked to the internet to react, as previously reported by the Daily Wire. That was kind of a boring article. Thought it was going to be funnier. I guess I was wrong. Oh, hang on, let me cut out of that. Why do I always do that, man? I need to learn how to work this thing better. My bad. Yeah, dude, I gave you the wrench, man, and then you kept bitching about it. Take her gun. She's a threat to herself. Just kidding. Don't kill me. Well, shit. Yes, you have a right. Trump right to go after Fox. Trump. There are big complaints. There are big complaints. Fox News blocked Trump fans from Bernie Town Hall. What? Trump. There are big complaints. Fox News blocked Trump fans from Bernie Town Hall. Oh, interesting. Here comes a new excuse. Ocasio-Cortez doubles down on sabotaging Amazon, complains, where does that 25,000 number come from? Oh, that would also be an interesting little... Check this out. Trump tweets out more dirty details about FBI's relationship with Agent behind Democrat-funded dossier. This looks interesting. Let's read this. Okay. Do we have Rational in here yet? Nope, he's not. That's some bitch. Actually, let me do one other thing. Cut back for a second. Yeah, so we got 3 people watching. Who else is in the chat? I know somebody else is out there watching. Maybe I don't even want to know. That's who I think it is. Probably don't even want to know. So this one says, not the article I wanted. This one says, Trump tweets out more dirty details about FBI's relationship with agent behind Democrat-funded dossier. As Attorney General William Barr prepares to release the redacted final report on Special Counsel Robert Mueller, President Trump has continued to hammer the key takeaways from Barr summary. No collusion, no obstruction. On Wednesday morning, Trump tweeted out another dirty detail that has come to light about what led up to the collusion investigation. The former British agent who Democrats paid to compile the dossier that got the collusion narrative rolling reportedly received 11 payments from the FBI in 2016? Really? Wow. FBI made 11 payments to the fake dossier's discredited author, Trump hater Christopher Steele. Trump tweeted Wednesday morning, citing Judicial Watch and One American News Network. The witch hunt has been a total fraud on your president and the American people. It is brought to you by dirty cops, Crooked Hillary, and the DNC. Interesting. Oh, there he is. Finally. Sorry, we'll get back to the story. Hiya, peoples. Yesterday treating you. How's yesterday treating you? Well, it's about damn time, man. Yeah. So, sorry, people who are watching here. I'm going to also make you one too. So now you are also officially a moderator. I made you and Gator the official moderators who can kick people out, which you would probably have to kick you or yourself or Gator out because typically, but you know, we're going to grow. We're going to have lots of people now coming in on these streams, especially when we start getting stuff rolling. So you guys will be some official moderators for me because you guys are awesome. And I love you in a completely heterosexual, way. There it is. Yeah, you do, man. You're already in the next day over there. So we're still living out our Wednesday while you're in a Thursday. That's crazy. All right. Anyways, I'll cut some of that out probably. Let's get back to this article. So it says on Tuesday, Judicial Watch announced that it had filed. Don't lie, man. You want me? On Tuesday, Judicial Watch announced that it had filed a new Freedom of Information Act lawsuit against the Department of Justice seeking the records of the communication and payments between the FBI and the former British intelligence agent Christopher Steele and his private firm Orbis Business Intelligence. Judicial Watch tweet. Judicial Watch announced today that it filed a FOI. Okay, I just read all that basically. Okay, yeah, so I just read that. In the announcement, Judicial Watch lays out some of what they've helped uncover about Steele's involvement with the FBI through previous freedom of information lawsuits related to the Clinton campaign and the DNC-funded dossier, and how it was used in order to obtain a FISA warrant to surveil Trump's associates. In a case seeking information between January 1st, 2016 and March 8th, 2017, Judicial Watch previously released FBI records showing that Steele was cut off as a confidential human source in November 2016, after he disclosed his relationship to the FBI to a third party. The documents show that there was at least 11 FBI payments to Steele in 2016. Interesting. Fusion GPS, an opposition research firm hired by Clinton campaign and the DNC, reportedly paid $168,000 in 2016 to Steele's company, Orbis Orbis Business Intelligence. In a related case, Judicial Watch recently released 339 pages of a heavily redacted records from the Department of Justice revealing Bruce Orr remained in regular contact with Steele after Steele was terminated by the FBI. How and why did the FBI pay Christopher Steele, who was already being funded by the Clinton campaign and the DNC through Fusion GPS? Asked Judicial Watch President Tom Fitton in the press release Tuesday. That we had to sue for the basic information shows the FBI may have something more to hide. Now, wouldn't that be something? I mean, I think we've all kind of wondered how deep the rabbit hole goes in regards to Clinton and this whole FISA warrant and this dossier on Trump and all this other stuff. And we're going to find out a lot tomorrow, right? It's going to be madness. The releasing of the Mueller report is going to be absolute media madness. People are going to be, just crawling that thing, looking for any kind of speck of information that they can use to blow up into a huge ordeal. Obviously, we already know by now, because it would have already way been made public, that there really wasn't any collusion. And it isn't like that could be hidden unless you think that Mueller is in Trump's back pocket, because Mueller would have leaked something and or would not have let people come out and say that it doesn't point to any collusion, right? And if when it's released, it's misrepresented, Mueller's going to say, wait a minute, that isn't what I found. So it isn't like the collusion's there, right? The direct collusion with Russia, but they're going to crawl through that thing with a fine-tooth comb, looking for anything they can. And there's probably is going to be some unsavory things. It was a dirt, it was a dirt report, if you will. They were looking for dirt on Trump. So they probably will find some dirt or something that's, a little sleazy or whatnot. I don't doubt there will be some unsavory pieces of information in there. Maybe not, but probably. And so that's going to definitely, the media is definitely going to be searching for that. So what would be interesting is now that now that we've let this genie out of the bottle, if you will, what is going to be dug up that could be pointed back to the DNC, that could point it back to the FBI, pointed back to Hillary. That'll be interesting too, because the people on the right are going to be looking for that and be really digging through that to find out what's going on, to find out if there's anything that points to, criminal or, unsavory things that Clinton could have done, or flat out flipping illegal. I think there is, and I think she's a shady mofo. Anyway, moving on. Judicial Watch FOI lawsuit requests all communication with Steele and his firm, as well as all records of payments or planned payments to Steele or Orbis from March 9th, 2017 to September 27th, 2018. Trump's declaration that Mueller found no collusion and no obstruction stems from Barr's summary of Mueller's final report, in which Barr concludes on the question of collusion. The special counsel's investigation did not find that the Trump campaign or anyone associated with it conspired or coordinated with Russia in efforts to influence the 2016 U.S. presidential election. As the report states, the investigation did not establish the members of the Trump campaign conspired or coordinated with the Russian government in its election interference activities. On the report's finding on obstruction of justice, Barr writes, after making a thorough factual investigation into these matters, the special counsel considered whether to evaluate the conduct under department standards regarding prosecution and conviction, but ultimately determined not to make a traditional prosecutorial judgment. The special counsel therefore did not draw a conclusion one way or the other as to whether the examined conduct constituted obstruction. The special counsel's report states that while this report does not conclude that the president committed a crime, it also does not exonerate him. Well, how close are we going to get that he was committing a crime, or how is it? That's what they're going to be looking for, the obstruction of justice. And obviously there's nothing there that's glaring, because they wouldn't be giving him a pass if it was. Of course, some people might argue that Barr would, because Barr's in his back. Everyone says Barr's in his back pocket. But again, there's no way, if it's even close, that they probably would have given him a pass on that, because Mueller's going to be able to speak once this is out. He's going to be able to speak to all the different intricacies of the investigation, and people are going to be able to read it all with a few redactions to keep, which I think are reasonable, to keep certain names and certain identities secret in the sense, because of national security and so on and so forth. So that's, but the gist of it's going to be laid out, and so people are going to be looking to see if this really does point to obstruction, and I think it's probably going to be more vague than anything, because if it was even close, then they'd be screaming about it. I'm going to finish these, and then I'll catch up on the comments. Trump has hit his dirty cops, Dems, and crooked Hillary and no collusion, no obstruction themes a few times this week. On Monday, the president issued a series of tweets on the topic Mueller and the AG, based on Mueller findings and great intelligence, like you would say. That was terrible, but you mean what I know. Have already ruled no collusion, no obstruction. There were crimes committed by crooked Hillary, the DNC, dirty cops, and others. Investigate the investigators. They spied on my campaign. We will never forget. Since there was no collusion, why was there an investigation in the first place? Answer: dirty cops, Dems, crooked Hillary. He repeats himself so much. That's one of my little criticisms against Trump. I mean, I have several, but he repeats himself so much. It can get kind of annoying, but I mean, that's just whatever. It's just his style. I think that was it. Okay, so that was it on that article there. Let me catch up on the comments here. It says, why people so quiet? I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. That's a good point. Well, Gator's driving. He's going to get another car to flip. And so we might have lost him for a minute. So that's why he's quiet. What we know, Papadopoulos was contracted after the Clinton email had been hacked. The Mueller indictment makes that clear. Since then, the collusion has been known as a lie. He was friends with the Clintons, so there's bound to be dirt. Be right back. Need coffee. Back. Wasn't Barr a Bushman? Yeah, I think so. I don't know a ton about Barr, but he's definitely in the old. I think, in the old conservative camp for sure, but not. I don't think he is I don't think he's somebody that would absolutely lie for Trump. I don't think he's that much of a Trump lover, to where he would lie for him. I don't see that happening. Let me read something else here. It depends on what the is. Watch CNN contributor embarrass panel. Take made Obama administration spied on Trump. What's this one here? Let's see. Watch CNN contributor embarrass panel after Jake Tapper after refusal to admit Obama administration spied on Trump.
President Trump has vetoed the resolution which called for an end to the U.S. support for Saudi war in Yemen. Trump called the bill an unnecessary, dangerous attempt to weaken my constitutional authorities, endangering the lives of American citizens and brave service members. Earlier this month, the U.S. House passed the resolution.
Wait, was this not the right one?
The yeas are 247, the nays are 175. Present is 1.
This isn't what I planned on playing.
The joint resolution is passed.
That wasn't what I planned on playing. I need to get on my Bears release. Wait a minute here. Okay. So it says Democrats and their allies in the mainstream media exploded after Attorney General Barr told a Senate panel that Obama administration spied on Trump's 2016 presidential campaign. I'm going to be reviewing both the genesis and the conduct of the intelligent activities directed at Trump campaign during the 2016 election, Barr stated. Later adding, I think spying did occur. Yes, I think spying did occur. Running predictable interference for the Democrats, CNN's Jake Tapper ran a segment on his show, The Lead, dissecting why Barr used the word spied. The implications, of course, is that Barr is a partisan doing as he is told by President Trump and using alleged dog whistles to gin up the base. Wow, that doesn't sound like that's completely something that the left does all the time, ginning up the base and using their dog whistles, as they like to say. Yeah, you guys aren't guilty of that in any way, shape, or form. CNN contributor Mary Catherine Ham, however, was quick to disrupt their display in an unhinged anti-Trump outrage, informing the group that spying on someone and surveilling someone without their knowledge is effectively the same thing, no matter how much they like to dislike the president. Barr said, quote, spying did occur. Yes, I think spying did occur. He also said, I want to make sure that there was no authorized surveillance. Unauthorized surveillance. Tapper started the segment. So I think it's still kind of up in the air. What did he mean when he said spying did occur? What do you think he meant? Just a spinster. How is that up in the air? How is what he said even at all questionable unless you don't understand English? Karen Finney, CNN commentator and former Hillary Clinton campaign spokeswoman, suggested it was because Barr was trying to give a little credence to conspiracy theories. People, maybe a little red meat for Trump. Let me read that again. I looked over at the chats. Let me read that chat. There's no doubt spying occurred. People linked to Trump were tapped after the Papadopoulos meeting with the Aussie diplomat Alex Downer, which seemed like a setup. Yeah, no, there is none. But the left wants to spin that because that looks bad on them. That looks bad on their loved ones. You know, that they would, okay that, and so they're trying to downplay it, because this whole investigation, I think, is going to turn around to kick them in the ass more than it did Trump, which I find kind of funny. So Karen Finney, CNN commentator and former Hillary Clinton campaign spokeswoman, suggested it was because Barr was trying to give a little credence to conspiracy theories, maybe a little red meat for Trump. Was he trying to, buy into or give a little credence to the sort of conspiracy theories, maybe a little red meat for Trump for being good, for not tweeting the first weekend that the Mueller report was supposedly out, she said? Or is it that Barr is not understanding? I mean, this is a very different time than the last time he was Attorney General in terms of social media, in terms of connotations. There's no connotations. He wasn't like, well, I don't know, maybe define spying. He's like, yeah, I'm pretty sure, yeah, I think spying happened. Yes, we'll call it spying. He was pretty definitive. Finney added that she's not sure the AG understands the weight of what he's saying. Jesus, I can't believe these people. She said, I can't believe the weight of what he's saying, that we think of spying in a different way than the Vietnam era, which I would argue is all the more reason if you are thinking about Vietnam to make the report public. I want to read that again. Finney added that she's not sure that the AG understands. Quote, the weight of what he's saying that we think of spying in a very different way than the Vietnam era, which I would argue is all the more reason if you are thinking about Vietnam to make the report public. Tapper then stepped in to play a clip from former FBI Director James Comey, assuring the public that they only surveilled and did not spy on the Trump team. Well, if you're being surveilled and you don't know you're being surveilled, then it's called spying, right? Like if you put a spy camera somewhere and someone doesn't know that that spy camera's there, then you're being spied on. Surveillance without knowing that you're being surveilled is spying. Jesus, the spin, the audacity these guys try to spin stuff. It's unbelievable. What's up, man? What's up, Will? What's up, people? Busy tonight. I figured I'd stop and say hi. I might listen in the background while I'm working, leaving Friday to catch up. Glad to have you here, man. Yeah, Comey is way not credible. He is completely flip-flopped on both sides, back and forth, and is just absolutely damaged his credibility, man. He was the golden child for the Democrats. Then he screwed up Hillary's thing. Then he was absolutely terrible. And how could he do that? And he's working for Trump. Then he came out against Trump. And again, he's the golden boy for the Democrats. And he's doing all this stuff. Then he gets fired. And Trump sees through it and sees all the things we didn't see at the time and fires his ass. And then everybody's, oh, he's obstructing justice. And man, he's a martyr for everything. And then all this stuff starts coming out that Comey is saying, flip-flopping back and forth. He's just absolutely, completely lost credibility and is, completely, but though he's definitely changed, he's definitely chosen his side now. He's sticking to it. He's sticking to the Dem side for sure. Which sides, whatever. It's concerning. Okay, Tapper. It's concerning because the FBI, the Department of Justice, court-ordered electronic surveillance. I have never thought of that as spying, Comey says in the clip. So I got to reread that because I got off on that other thing. Tapper then stepped in to play a clip from former FBI James Comey assuring the public that they only surveilled and did not spy on the Trump team. I do not understand the difference there. It's concerning because the FBI, the Department of Justice, court-ordered electronic surveillance. I have never thought of that as spying, Comey says in the clip. Then what do you think of spying? I think the bar is talking about whatever Donald Trump wants him to be talking about. Democratic strategist Jamal Simmons stated bluntly. It just feels like he was told to use the word spying, and he was looking for a way to work it into the conversation. He was asked, do you think, he wasn't trying to work it in. He was asked by them, do you think spying occurred? And he said, yes, I think spying occurred. So how was he trying to work anything in? Spying, surveillance, tomato. This wouldn't be the first time a Trump appointee has looked into a conspiracy theory. CNN contributor and former Ted Cruz staffer Amanda Carpenter claimed. I remember that when Mike Pompeo was CIA director, he took a meeting with someone who claimed that the DNC hacking was an inside job. So maybe sometimes you have to do the stuff to make your boss happy. What? But why spying instead of surveillance? If you know the difference, Finney interjected. But why spying instead of surveillance? Yes, Tapper agreed. That's when Ham stepped in, because they're synonyms. That's why, she directly stated. If you're going to the FISA court and you are surveilling somebody without their knowledge, you are spying on them. Right, I just said that. Whether it is authorized or not. The question is whether this was appropriate, the commentator explained to the panel. Now, I've always been more than willing to be convinced there was enough there that they needed to get this warrant specifically for Carter Page. But the bar should be extremely high for using FISA court warrants to go after American citizens, she continued. And the Department of Justice Inspector General is already doing investigations into this to determine whether that was the case, which I think is good for all the private American citizens who would like not to be spied on if there's not good cause. Ham added, I am not interested in pretending that the words don't mean what they mean just because Trump uses them sometimes. And spy means this. I'm sorry, it just does. Finney then suggested that such truth is thrown out the window when it comes to Trump. But that's not what the world we're living in. I mean, Trump uses certain words very deliberately as dog whistles to send signals to the alt-right. Oh, Jesus. Oh, my gosh. It's always the alt-right. Anybody on the right who's a conservative is alt-right. It's always alt-right. You know, they're turning the word alt-right into what they've done with racism, where it's just watered down completely because they use it all the time. It's like in the movie, or, in the show The Incredibles, when the little villain in the first one says, when everybody's super, no one will be. That is exactly what we've done with our vocabulary and words that actually at one time meant something, right? Words that actually meant and held weight to something. Now they don't mean or hold weight anymore because we've used them so much. They have become anesthetized. They have become numb. They have become just absolutely pointless and almost weightless and worthless. Does spy mean authorized or unauthorized? Asked Tapper. Ham calmly explained, I think it means both. We're now determining whether this was appropriate or not. So it means surveillance. And now, the host started, when you are surveilling a person without their knowledge, you are spying on them. Yes, Ham pointed out. Tapper pretended what Ham was saying was somehow controversial. Okay, but Democrats are not happy with your explanation or that type of explanation. It's just words, Ham retorted. Okay, so where is that at? Where Trump and AG campaign was spied on. Was this it right here? I was trying to find it earlier and I played the wrong clip. Let me come up a little bit.
We know what happened to George Papadopoulos. We know what happened to Mike Flynn. We know what happened to Paul Manafort because the court documents told us so. So if they want to go back over that and make sure it was proper, go ahead and do that. But even Barr said in his testimony, there may have been adequate legal avenues that
but then
this is done legally.
Spying instead of surveillance if you know the difference.
It's the same thing. It's the same word.
Because there are synonyms.
Yep.
Yeah. Like, I'm sorry, if you're going to the FISA court and you're surveilling someone without their knowledge, you are spying on them, whether it is authorized or not. The question is whether this was appropriate. Now, I have always been more than willing to be convinced that there was enough there that they needed to get this warrant specifically for Carter Page, but the bar should be extremely high for using FISA court warrants to go after American citizens. And the DOJ Inspector General is already doing investigation into this to determine whether that was the case, which I think is good for all private American citizens who would like not to be spied on if there's not good cause. And I am not interested in pretending that words don't mean what they mean just because Trump uses them sometimes. And spy means this. I'm sorry. It just does.
But that's not the world we're living in. I mean, Trump uses certain words very deliberatively as dog whistles, to send signals to the alt-right.
So spy doesn't mean what it means anymore?
No, it may mean it to us, but
I was very capable of explaining how it
to us, but it means something different.
Does spy mean authorized or unauthorized?
I think it means both.
It means both.
And we are now determining whether this was appropriate or not.
So it means surveillance, and now he's trying to figure out.
When you are surveilling a person without their knowledge, you are.
They're not this dumb, people. Jake Tapper and these other ones are not that dumb. They understand. It's just that it doesn't fit their narrative, right? It doesn't fit their narrative because this could mean that he was unauthorized. There was unauthorized spying on a candidate, and I can't remember. Did this fall in right after he was president? I think this was before this was authorized, right? So, and to pretend like if this was authorized by the DOJ and Obama and whatnot knew about this, that would mean they were spying on him, similar to to a similar case to what happened in Watergate. They were spying on him, and you're really going to tell me that information, whatever they were gathering, they weren't going to feed over to Hillary? That wasn't going to make it over to the Hillary campaign? Hillary and Obama were buddies. This is just, they're not that dumb. They understand what it means.
We're spying on them. Yes.
Okay. Democrats not happy with your explanation or that type of explanation?
Of course not. Of course you're not happy with that explanation because that explanation is the truth. And you guys have a hard time with the truth. Yeah, right. Okay. So they're not happy with, I love that. Jake Tapper says, can I rewind that just a little bit? Let's hear him say that again. That was great.
Person without their knowledge, you are spying on them. Yes.
Okay. Democrats not happy with your explanation or that type of explanation?
Well, it's just words.
Sure. And it's just words and it's just the truth. So, sir, you're not happy with it. I know. I can understand why you wouldn't be. I can understand why that would bother you because it's the truth. So, we know how you guys feel about the truth. Catch up on some comments here. Before I do that, I want to check something here. So, Rational, what's been happening in your neck of the woods, man? So there goes that, and then you respond, and let's see how long that takes you. So I'm only seeing like a 3 or 4 second delay, dude. How long does it take you to get what I'm saying? Oh, good. See, that was pretty quick. That's better. So, hey, you should email me. Do you have that? Do you have your song worked out even on a rough draft? Do you have it worked out on a rough draft? Your Cow Fart song? Because if you do, you should send it to me. You should email it to me. I'll play it, even if it's rough, dude. It's only us in here. I want to hear it. Can you email it to me, or do you not have it emailable? One draft of vocals. Well, do you have it with the music? Is it on the music? So Rational wrote up a song to Nirvana's "Smells Like Teen Spirit." And not emailable, ATM, no music yet. Oh, okay. So you just got the draft. Okay, so we're going to have to wait. But Rational wrote a song to Nirvana, Smells Like Teen Spirit, to Smells Like AOC's Cow Farts, and it's pretty awesome. So when he gets it all done, I want to run it on one of the streams because that will be fun. It's a good time right there. Okay, I want to pull something up here. Give me a second. I'll open my email. Here we are now in the dinos. Hey. Okay, so basically I wanted to read this. I want to read this out here. It is my thoughts on so what I've been. Okay, cool. Well, we'll get at it this weekend then. Okay, so something I've decided I wanted to do is I wanted to start putting my thoughts together more on instead of an kind of an ethereal just innate way that I feel about subjects, like all the different videos I've put up thus far. I stand behind everything I've ever said, for the most part. Well, pretty much all parts. I think maybe I've been a little snarky or rude at times. Maybe I could. No, I don't. I stand behind everything I've ever said. But I've made these videos from a point of view of just a accumulation, if you will, of my life and of history and of what I have, life's history, and just thoughts and points of view or ideology that I've developed along the way when it comes to social justice stuff, or when it comes to conservative leanings, or whatever it is, all the different commentaries I've put out. I've put out a lot of different thoughts on stuff. Lately, what I've been wanting to do is find out why truly I've wanted to root a little more of, I didn't plan to say all this, so I'm just kind of working through it as I go. I want to have a more plans may be a bad word. I want to have a little more structured, laid out. I want to have a little more structured, laid out, researched foundation. That's what I was looking for, of why I believe what I believe. A lot of these things have just been, like I said, an accumulation of life, right? And to where I think what I think. But at times I catch myself, well, why do I think that? What is the real A, B's, and C's and D's? What is the real foundation and layers of why I believe what I believe? There's been plenty of subjects that I have that may be a process laid out inside of me. But I've really wanted to now start laying out, if you will, position videos of what I think and why I think them. And I believe a very important thing in a person is, I think it's very important as a person to be able to evolve, right? Yeah, breaking down the knowledge to first principles. So I've wanted to, like I said, I didn't really plan out how I was going to say this, so I'm just kind of working through it right now. I've wanted to have position papers, if you will, or really laying out, like, when it comes to some of these subjects that I think are important, from issues of, like, some of them are kind of splinter or auxiliary ideas to more foundational ones, like, expanding the Supreme Court. Why do I think that's a good or a bad idea? Climate change, right? Why do I think climate change is? Personally, I don't believe in it. What the mainstream story we're told on that. Why do I believe that? What is the facts that back up what I believe on that? Gun control. Why do I believe it's good for people to be able to have the right to bear arms, right? I'm not just like, I'm American. I think we should have guns. Guns are good. Second Amendment, bro. Like, that's fine to have that kind of a surfacey approach at it for a while, but then you got to dig down and you have to look at the facts and the reasons and challenge yourself. And this is where I believe I want to start to challenge myself to really test why I believe what I believe and dig into it, because I think that's important. I want to be able to articulate what I think and why I think it. And I'm always going to hold and reserve the right to say, as more information is made aware to me, or is made is revealed to me, I want to be able to change or modify my beliefs and my thoughts. And I think that's part of humans in the evolutionary state of our being. And yes, I side note, I am actually a Christian, and I have a Christian faith, but I also believe that there's a form of evolution that's in the natural life, and in your ideological life. So I can't think right now, but at any rate, you mean what I know. So I will always be able to reserve the right to say, yeah, I've gotten more information on this, and I've adjusted my opinion. There's certain things I don't think I'll ever adjust my opinion off of. But being able to mold or move, I think, is important. And I think if you're not willing to do that, you're never going to be able to grow, because you're just going to be very close-minded. So, I mean, it's pretty simple, basic 101 type stuff that I'm talking about, but I'm just articulating it. So, the social justice culture, and the lies that are behind it, freedom of speech, the immigration issue, culture subversion, media hypocrisy, censorship dangers, great liberal bias in Silicon Valley, these kind of things, wars of aggression and lies, all of these things, to Sharia law, to Saudi Arabia, to, Jewish control, to racism, to white privilege, all of these topics that are out there, and there'll be many more. There'll be a ton more, but there's all these things that I feel like I want to talk about, or I want to have a better understanding on. Read a comment here. I spent years studying primary texts for that very reason. I like to have the original knowledge, not the propaganda or biased perspective of others. Thank you. You just said it way better than I did, Rational. And that's exactly why I'm doing now what I'm doing. I'm digging in more on some of these things to find out why I believe them. And in so doing, I wanted to start with the thing that I think is you hear a lot, and you've heard it directly, and then it splinters off, and it's affecting so many aspects of our society and culture right now, which is the subject of privilege, right? And that privilege can be, and it's a very heavy topic on the left that they throw at people on the right, all the time. So I'm like, okay, I've heard this a lot, and I've thought, oh yeah, privilege, white privilege, I don't believe in that shit. But I'm like, okay, well, what is it about? Where did it come from? Well, maybe I do. Maybe I should give it a look. Maybe I should give it an understanding. Maybe I should give it a try to see where this is coming from, to make sure that what I believe on this is rooted in something more than just this media bubble, echo chamber of propaganda that bounces around in our brain nonstop, of where if you're on the right, you don't believe in right privilege because that is not a conservative value. That's what the lefties believe in. So I don't want to just be in that echoing stuff without any substance. So when somebody says, well, why do you not believe in it? I can actually, well, just because, that's just not, it's a leftist idea. I don't want to have that mentality. I want to be able to list off some facts of why I don't believe it's true. So I'm doing a position paper, if you will, on that. And position paper, I use that word lightly. But I got a rough draft, and I thought I'd read it and share some thoughts about where I'm going with this. Yeah, exactly. No, there is. And you're so right on that, dude. And that's where my brain hurts lately, because just doing this one, that's why I believe it's good to start out with at least some foundational ones that splinter into many of these other peripheral ones, right? So you have a basic good understanding of why you believe something on a foundational level that isn't just a peripheral issue. Because if you build your foundation of what you believe on some of these core building blocks that splinter out into all these peripherals, you'll be able to adjust the peripherals better because you have a better understanding of the basics of them. Rational says the privilege idea stems from a lack of historical knowledge more than fact. Yes, there is some privilege to being white, like generally being treated less suspiciously, but there's privilege in being male at times, or female, or white, or not white, etc. Yeah. Yeah. As I've been reading on some of this stuff, though, I'm more convinced than ever, man, that starting to really be able to articulate and take a position on this issue. So I thought I'd read a few notes on this to you guys. And by you guys, I mean you, Rational. Anyways, no particular order, still a rough draft. Some of these paragraphs aren't in the right spot, and some of them aren't worded correctly. These are just like type, just reading a bunch of, just reading all these different on, in support of it, against it, in the middle, research, abstract papers, psychological abstract papers, to, opinion pieces, to statistics, which then when you started getting, so on this white privilege, the funny part about that is when I dug into just wanting to, not really white privilege though, white privilege obviously ties into that, then all of a sudden you have to research intersectionality, because then that ties into privilege, right? And when you're starting to read about intersectionality and whatnot, then you have to start, you cracking open the door to, well, what is postmodernism, right? And what's the postmodernists think? And what is some of the foundations on this? And I am by no means a scholar on the deep, dark, the deep depths of the philosophical understandings on these, and I don't claim to be. That takes years and years to understand this stuff. But man, it's like you crack open one door and there's another one below it and another one, and so then it goes to, how everyone throws around postmodernist, this Marxist postmodernist ideology. And then, so I was like, well, man, these Marxist postmodernists. And then I started reading it and I'm like, wow, well, Marxism actually is kind of very much and it's kind of the antithesis in many ways of postmodernism, right? So then I'm like, well, why does everybody call them Marxists? And then I start looking into this, and I'm like, I understand the term cultural Marxism, which then as I read about what cultural Marxism is, basically what it's just taking, it's taking the principles of Marxism, but it's not economic, it's now socio, or it's, it's more of a, what's the word I'm looking for here? I'll get to it in a second. My brain is going all over the place. But you start reading, anyways, I started reading all this stuff and I'm like, oh man, my brain hurts. But I started reading some of these thoughts, and basically what I came up with some of this, it's basically, I don't believe in systemic white privilege as prescribed by the progressive left's political ideology. Prescribed as a progressive left's political ideology presents and or postulates in Western culture today. So it says, the privilege card is typically used to denigrate the opinions of anyone who has or is seen as being part of said privileged group, white, male, class, sex, so on and so forth. It's used to silence any critical thoughts on issues or examination of facts and ideas, if those thoughts or ideas go against the progressive left's political agenda or talking points. It is used as a way to inflict guilt, thus, as stated before, reducing or eliminating opposing viewpoints or ideas on a range of socioeconomic ideas. Privilege, especially as a white male, is something we are told we need to admit, recognize, and confront. That ignoring it and or not vocally and actively denouncing and recognizing it is to help to promote it. That's what the left tells you. That's what this many people on the left, from Peggy McIntosh to, many of these other people who have pushed this ideology and versions of it will tell you. And that is like, there is blog after blog and video after video of basically saying what I just said in so many words, so many different ways. Privilege is intertwined with intersectionality, though. Intersectionality is the belief that within certain demographics, there are subtle variations of said demographics, which have sets of varying discrimination attached to them as well. So if you are a black male, you face discrimination. Though if you are a female, you also face discrimination. Though if you are a black female, you face a whole new set of discrimination with varying subtle distinctions. Though if you are a black gay female, you now face a whole new set. Though if you are a black, gay, transgendered female, you again are awarded a new category of victimhood or oppression. Though what if you are a Muslim woman? Does that give you more victimhood than the black, gay, transgendered female? Though what if you are a gay Muslim woman? Now you are being discriminated by the oppressive system, along with the very religion you prescribe to have faith to. Though what if you are a gay Muslim woman who is transgendering to a male? The rabbit hole just keeps going with this ideology. That's what's funny, is that you can always be pulling a new trick out of the hat. Does this move you farther up the victimhood ladder because you are transgendered, or do you lose a rung on the ladder because now you are injecting yourself with the toxicity of manhood or maleness? That was just me throwing that in there. Wow, it can really hurt your brain. Though these are the very real situations and wranglings of the intersectionality movement. I'm going to get to your I'm going to get to your comments here in a minute, man. I want to read a couple more paragraphs of this. So why are these so intertwined with privilege? Because depending on where you land on the ladder, you have to understand to which level you are experiencing or benefiting from the unseen, subconscious, invisible privilege. I think before looking more at privilege, it's important to discuss a little further how privilege and intersectionality, along with postmodernism and cultural Marxism philosophy, all work together. You may ask who is driving the crazy bus. You may further ask what kind of engine is in this bus. Is this bus packing? The answer to the first question is the woke, those on the far progressive left, or better said, just the progressives. You don't have to be that far left anymore to get the license to drive this crazy bus. What kind of horsepower is under the hood? It's a Jean Francis Lyotard 1979 postmodern V8. So Jean Francis Lyotard was a I don't know if he's still alive. I don't think he is. Philosopher who came up with postmodernism. That's what. This bad boy runs on 99% cultural Marxist octane also. So intersectionality meets with postmodernism, and now what has been termed cultural Marxism. And cultural Marxism, many people believe, is a made-up term. It's a conspiratorial term. You can't. It's not really a thing. But as I have done more reading and understanding on this and research on this, it's very much a thing. You see, postmodernism proclaims in a nutshell to deny that an objective reality exists and appear to deny that this is where my sentences aren't cleaned up yet, and appear to deny that there are no objective morals. So it works as a convenient form of transportation for destructing all things considered standard, historical, or of Western value norms. After all, those were created by the much hated and oppressive, dare I say it, white privileged male, aka the patriarchy. Though this engine does not run on flagellant gas alone. No. You need to power this bad boy with some victim-creating, get-em-motivated socio-political ideology. Enter cultural Marxism, which in a nutshell says, political correctness is cultural Marxism. It is Marxism translated from economic into cultural terms. So take Marxism, remove economics, and put cultural terms in its place, and you have cultural Marxism. Though don't say that too loud in front of the lefties, because they proclaim the cultural Marxism as a conspiracy theory or a made-up term. I know what you're thinking. This is where I say, I know what you're thinking. The irony isn't lost on me either. That the left, postmodernists, would say that cultural Marxism is a made-up term. Non-binary, XYZ, BDQIX, whatever, and any kind of morals or any kind of ideology that we have held as a normal ideology or a normal standard, that can be thrown out the window. We can redefine that. We can completely rebuild and tear that down. But don't you dare try to redefine Marxism to say cultural Marxism, because that's all made up. That's ridiculous. Now, the idea of privilege and intersectionality comes from the hypothesis of Peggy McIntosh, White Privilege Unpacking the Invisible Knapsack, 1989. This paper was written from her personal accounts and musings of the societal problems concerning sexism, racism, and through her work in women's studies. It really had no substantial analyzation, peer criticism, or academic vetting, or factual data backing it all. This is just something she came up with. She ran through the filter of her experiences and wrote this paper on it, and it cracked open the bottle of, this privilege ideology to start to flood throughout our culture and society. Now, it didn't just start there. It goes back hundreds of years, but then it died way down, kind of spurted itself back up in the early 70s a little bit, and that was more touched on with what was going on in South Africa, but then it died back down. And then what was happening in South Africa, where it was actually law, like they actually had laws talking about who could and who could and couldn't work at certain places, it was actually codified law, right? Well, then they just took that and they brought it over into the societal realm in the 80s with the word privilege, and they attached it to male privilege. You have male privilege. And then Peggy in 89 kind of attached that to saying, well, wait a minute, I think we all have privilege if you're white. So in a nutshell, I'm giving you total beyond Cliff Note versions on that, but that's in a nutshell what happened. It really had no substantial, I mentioned all that, though that doesn't matter because the left has never met a good victim narrative it didn't like. The end game of intersectionality is ultimately individuality. If you take, I'll just read. I guess I'm commentating on this, but I read on this stuff, so it's kind of like I'm just commentating on it, but I should just read it. But I'll just read it. So it says, I put here, the end game of intersectionality is ultimately individuality. We all walk different roads. We all have different stories. We have had advantages and disadvantages, triumphs and failures. We've been born with many, or our decisions have caused some of them. So if we look globally at everyone, ultimately, everyone is the ultimate minority. Good or bad, no one has had the exact same life as someone else. The individual is the ultimate minority. To assign to those of a particular community characteristics of said community purely on the basis of their race is de facto the definition of racism, which intersexuality, by the way, has clearly decided is wrong, as is anybody with moral backing and understanding has said that's wrong, racism's wrong. Largely in part to the fact that there are so many differences between individuals. This is where postmodernism is useful in the ideology or philosophy. Logical coherence is not needed or necessary. Logical coherence is a product of the white patriarchal structure, which sole purpose is to oppress the oppressed. So, following logical steps in the real world that end in dead ends, it doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. Why? Because postmodern philosophy says there is no real world, just personal interpretations. So this is where intersexuality and postmodern get along, because the intersectionality ideology and philosophy, when you take it out to its, when you analyze it, it falls apart. You're like, well, then everybody's a minority, right? Well, no, only minorities are minorities, and you white people are, and privileged people, better said, have oppressed these minorities. So, but you're saying intersexuality says that everyone with their different idea or their different experiences is what makes them different, right? And puts them into these different identity groupings. And when you take it out, like I said, basically to its logical conclusion, the individual is the ultimate minority. So postmodernism enters in because then it helps you stop that, illogical reverberation that is created by intersexuality. So I'm going to read a comment here. If you look into this guy, it says, so I'm going to read you. It says, It says, I'm mixed, Rational said, I'm mixed race. It would be better for me to claim to be non-white because the privilege of being non-privileged would give privileges that the privileged don't have, or Orwellianism in action, Privilege is Nietzsche's resentment. I think you meant to say resentment. Maybe I'm reading it wrong. Those who perceive themselves as weak adopt weakness as a virtue and call strength evil. If you look into this, you may need to look into the educational philosophy of Paulo Freire, who created the doctrine of critical literacy that sees all knowledge as political and says that the dominant idea is always seeking to maintain legitimate and strength its power base. This is seen as violence against minorities. The postmodernist says nothing is true. The rational one responds, you say nothing is true, but is that true? Right. Yeah. Looking at disadvantages is not an issue in itself. Making it a moral claim is a huge problem, though. It is aimed at equal outcomes that can only be achieved via tyranny. Yeah. Right, exactly. It's kind of the whole thing of like many of the, those on the right, like I think Peterson says this a lot, right? That it's good to have equal opportunity. It's all good to strive for equality of opportunity, just not equality of outcome, right? We can't have equality of outcome. We should have equality of opportunity, just not outcome. I go on to say some other stuff. I got 2 more paragraphs. And like I said, these are totally rough draft paragraphs. So even as I'm reading them, I'm like, maybe I shouldn't be doing this live. So having this discussion with a postmodernist is sort of pointless. They most likely would not have it with you anyways, because you are blinded by your privilege, and thus they view you in a different power group where discussion is not possible. So going out on a limb here, I personally think that postmodernism is gross. And it seemingly is philosophically inconsistent. It would be correct to say there is a limitless number of possible interpretations, though a very limited amount of actual usable ones. So to recap, cultural Marxism is bad, really bad, unless you view censorship of opposing views and making sure everyone thinks the same way about everything societally and culturally as good. Let me read that. What I say? Unless you view censorship of opposing views and making sure everyone thinks the same way about everything in society and culturally is good. If you think we should be given a boundary of thought and speech, which is handed to us by the ruling mob or totalitarian government as good, then it's good. Unless you believe it is okay to figuratively murder all those who dare to view things independently or outside the assigned political norms, then it's good. In that case, cultural Marxism is a good thing, which is apparent that many right now do support and think it's a great thing. Those that are looking for revenge and the chance to move up the ladder of oppression with blessing and immunity. Though if that does bother you, then cultural Marxism is not a good thing. What postmodernists are doing is slyly rebranding Marxism as stated above. I think this is worthy and needed cause to fight, just as they claim if you do not recognize and admit your privilege, you give it room to invisibly grow. So is the case if we do not recognize and call out this apparent and glaringly large pile of steaming elephant shit for what it is. We need to not become anesthetized to this. It is entirely dangerous to those who value and appreciate liberty, freedom of thought. Good people do want to treat others well, who in their hearts are not filled with malice. It isn't appropriate or acceptable to manipulate into feeling guilty by those who are disingenuously and again manipulatively trying to get us to accept a future and a narrative that isn't good for us and that we don't want. So kind of just some of my opening thoughts on Resentiment is the pronunciation. Resentiment. Don't go talking French on me, man. Just throw some shrimp on the Barbie. Talking rational. Anyways, just some thoughts. I'm stringing along to put something together for what I want to ultimately get my grasp and get my hands around. I obviously still need to work. That's a complete rough draft, like I mentioned. But anyway, yeah, I don't know. Thought I would share that with you. Thought you'd appreciate it, Rash. Two people washing. That's us because don't have a whole lot going on. Anyways, yeah. Well, man, it's getting late for me. What about you, dude? Is it early in the morning? What are you doing? I'm kind of thinking I'm probably going to jump off here. Again, I was going to get my buddy on here. Oh, tomorrow I'm on with Drone Tech and some people from Trigger Warning and Robert, that one dude, Robert. So you are 17 hours ahead of us. So where does that put us if we were talking in mid-afternoon? You're late at night then. Are you going to get on Drone Tech's stream tomorrow night? Or for you tomorrow night? What would that make it for you? If it's 1 o'clock, if it's 3 or 4 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, that puts you at simple math would say 12 would be 4 a.m. plus another 5. Oh, that's going to put you mid-morning, right? That'll put you mid-morning. You going to jump on tomorrow? Oh, did I just pick my nose? I didn't mean to. Sorry. It was more of an itch. Okay, perfect. So it'll be like 9 a.m. So don't forget to get on the Drone Tech tomorrow. That's gonna be fun. We're gonna have like 3 people on it. And have you checked out Trigger Warning? They're hilarious. Totally politically incorrect, but hilarious. I love them. They're a lot of fun to listen to. Are you following them? Shout out to Trigger Warning, triggerwarning.tv. They are, go check them out right now. You will love them. You'll become an instant fan. Triggerwarning.tv or something like that. Just type into Google or YouTube Trigger Warning. I think I had to type in triggerwarning.tv into the YouTube search and their channel popped up. They're fun. You're going to like them. There's some UKians. They're over there and they're kind of like you. Only they don't have quite as cool of accent as you. So, and they don't put shrimp on the Barbie. It's true. I'm going to watch Crocodile Dundee this weekend, man. And I'm going to think about you, Rational. And hey, did I scare off Rich? I think I might have scared Rich off. There's a few Aussies though. There's been a few Aussies that have been in here. I don't know what it is about you Aussies. That's not a knife. That's not a knife. That's not a knife. That's a knife. No, probably not. He'll be back. I hope so. I used to be really good with my, what was the guy's name? The guy who got stung by the stingray. What is his name? Damn it. God, this is hurting my brain. I'm a bit of a croc Dundee type. Steve Irwin, thank you. Yes. Yeah. Muppet was not quaffing. Muppet was not quaffing. What's quaffing? Are you trying to tell me how to talk? You should type to me how you talk, and then I could start. Just responding to that. Not a fan. I thought you were trying to. Oh, that's funny. Yeah. No, Steve Irwin. I used to do a good Steve Irwin impression. Crikey, mate. Crikey, did you see the size of it? That's the only one I can do is the crikey part. You wouldn't have got it. Wouldn't have get it. You wouldn't have get it. Get it? You wouldn't have get it. Get it. You wouldn't have get it. That's English, bro. Oh man, dude, I want to Skype you in, dude. We need to Skype you in one of these times because all you got to do is Skype in. Speak lazy, dude. Wouldn't have get it. You wouldn't have get it. So I just gotta speak lazy. Gotta just did you say drop the consonants or the vowels? That was terrible. I'm making a freaking fool out of myself. Did you say drop the consonants or the vowels when I say it? You wouldn't have get it. Wouldn't have get it. You wouldn't have get it. Oh man. Pretend flies are trying to get in your mouth. I don't know how to pretend that, dude. I don't have that problem. I don't live in the outback. So basically, just pretend like I'm trying to have dinner in Australia. Oh, snap! Pretend like flies are trying to get in your mouth. You wouldn't have got it. You wouldn't. Then I'm just going to turn into a transviloquist, man, because I'm just going to keep my mouth shut. All right. I got to get in, man. Strine, because Australian sounds like strine. Australian is strine. Strine. Australian. 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 Oh, there we go. Australian. I'm from Australia. Where from? Australian. Australian. From Australian, mate. I'm from Australian, mate. From Australian, mate. There, I got it. From Australian, mate. Crikey. Crikey. Crikey, mate. From Australian. Hey, dude, I'm getting it. Income. I come from Australia. I come from Australia. I come from Australia. I come from Australia, mate. There we go. See, you just need to spell it. You just need to say it phonetically for me. Then I got to say it relaxed. So I come from Australia, mate. I come from Australia, mate. I come from Australia, mate. Throw some shrimp on shit. I come from Australia, mate. Throw some shrimp on the barbie. That was better. Throw some shrimp on the barbie, mate. Let's throw some shrimp on the barbie, mate. How you going, mate? How you going, mate? Hey, how you going, mate? That's how are you doing? Yeah, I know. How you doing, mate? Right? How you going, mate? How you going, mate? How you going, mate? See, dude, you're helping me right now. This is how you going, mate? I come from Australia. I come from Australia. I come from Australia. How you going, mate? Drop the syllables. Okay. I come from Australia, mate. I come from Australia, mate. How you going, mate? Going is almost one second. Going is almost one second. Okay. Going. How you going, mate? How you going, mate? How you going, mate? All right. I'm getting it. Hell yeah. My aim is to make Australia one self. Well, Australia. I come from Australia, mate. It's beautiful. No, it's beautiful. Beautiful, mate. It's beautiful, mate. Beautiful, mate. I say mate all the time because I just feel like that's just so Australian. Excuse me, I'm so Australian. I come from Australia, mate. Yes. Now I am an honorary Australian. I'm getting there. You are an honorary. You are a honorary. You are an honorary American or American, mate. American, mate. From America, mate. Yeah, I went a little British there. From America, mate. America. See, America, mate. America. See, America is actually Australian then. Vegemite first, dude. Gotta eat Vegemite food first, dude. Gotta eat Vegemite food. What's a Vegemite? Just pick my nose again. Doesn't matter. It was an itch. Luckily, there's nobody watching. I look up. There's like 100 people. That suck. All right, man. I got to go, dude. I've been on here now an hour and a half. So I got to get into the wife. I will see you tomorrow. And then we'll be touching up more on some of the stuff. I'm going to go in and reword some of these things and start getting ready to do this video on this and come up with some other good topics. So it's black yeasty stuff that is left over from beer we put it on toast. It's black yeasty stuff from was left over from beer we put on toast. That's gross. No wuckus, mate. No wuckus, mate. No worries. No wuckus, mate. Is that no worries? No wuckus, mate. Put it on toast. That's gross, dude. We put it on. I thought you were trying to tell me how to talk. I'm like, we put it on toast. We put it on toast. That was not right. All right. All right, man. Well, I will see you when I'll see you tomorrow, dude. No wuckus is no worries. No wuckus, mate. No wuckus, mate. Good night, mate. Good night, mate. Good night. See, good night and good day sound a little bit the same. Good night, mate. All right. All right, man. I'm out of here. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Not mate. All right. Take it easy, dude. Later. Bye.